It was a silent night in the hospital. The low hum of a ventilator pulsed steadily through the dim light, the only sound that cut through the heavy stillness. On a nearby monitor, a patient's oxygen saturation number began to fall, slowly, almost imperceptibly. No one noticed. But imagine if something inside the patient's own body had already detected it. A sensor, smaller than a fingernail, quietly pulsing beneath the skin, reading biochemical changes in real time, transmitting early warnings long before danger struck. That vision, once science fiction, is what one company dared to turn into reality. From Berkeley, California, this company, Profusa Inc., set out to merge biology and technology at a molecular level. If you're watching this as a short, tap the full version link below to listen to the entire story without interruption. Founded in 2009, Profusa describes itself as a pioneer in implantable biosensors, tiny devices designed to integrate seamlessly with living tissue. The company's core concept is something it calls a bio-integrated sensor, a device that becomes part of the body rather than a foreign implant. Traditional medical monitors rely on skin attachments or periodic blood draws. These methods produce only snapshots of a patient's condition, not the continuous picture physicians need for true precision care. Profusa's approach is entirely different. Sensors that live inside the interstitial fluid, the microscopic liquid between human cells, and continuously relay data. The result is a living data stream, a constant conversation between human biology and digital intelligence. Profusa's first commercial product, the Lume Oxygen platform, was designed to do something no other device had done: measure tissue oxygenation continuously from within. Oxygen levels in tissue are a critical predictor of healing and vascular health. For patients with peripheral artery disease, chronic wounds, or reconstructive surgery recovery, that number can decide whether a tissue survives or dies. Most existing devices monitor oxygen through the skin or infer it through blood sampling. The Lumi sensor, however, operates directly under the skin's surface, delivering real-time data straight to a handheld reader. In theory, it gives clinicians a live map of recovery as it unfolds, minute by minute. In 2020, Profusa achieved a breakthrough, the CE mark approval from the European Union. It meant the Lumi Oxygen platform had passed the safety and efficacy bar for sale in Europe. Typically, when a medical device company secures CE approval, the path to market moves swiftly. Within a year, they establish distribution partners, file reimbursement applications, and begin generating early revenue. But with Profusa, that didn't happen. 4 years passed. No official launch, no reported sales. The product, though approved, never appeared in hospitals, and that became the first great mystery in Profusa's story. Why the silence? There are a few plausible explanations, and they all tell a different story. First, the clinical barrier. An implantable sensor demands surgical placement, specialized training, and meticulous infection control. Hospitals tend to hesitate with such devices unless clear protocols exist. Second, the insurance barrier. No matter how effective a device is, hospitals cannot purchase or use it at scale without reimbursement approval. For that, health authorities require long-term clinical data proving economic benefit, something Profusa didn't yet have. And third, the regulatory logistics. Even after CE approval, each European country has its own procurement, registration, and tender processes. These steps can stretch into years. In other words, the 4-year delay may not have been failure, it may have been bureaucracy. Still, investors don't trade on patience. To the market, silence looks like stagnation, and that perception gap planted the seeds of uncertainty around Profusa's future. Then, in July 2025, the silence broke. Profusa announced it had completed a SPAC merger with Northview Acquisition Corp., debuting on the NASDAQ under the ticker PFSA. Typically, medical technology firms go public once they've demonstrated revenue traction or late-stage commercialization. Profusa went public before either had occurred. It was a bold, highly unorthodox move, one that split the investor community. Some saw it as a strategic masterstroke, early capital to scale manufacturing and accelerate clinical adoption. Others saw it as premature optimism, a risky attempt to sell the vision before the numbers existed. Whichever view one took, the decision transformed Profusa overnight, from a private, quietly experimental biotech into a public company under intense scrutiny. Immediately following the listing, Profusa restructured its leadership. Peter O'Rourke, former acting secretary of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, joined as lead independent director, signaling a deliberate alignment with government health systems and public sector opportunities. Fred Knechtel, a veteran financial executive with experience in medtech scale-ups, was appointed chief financial officer. Around the same time, Profusa announced a collaboration with the Medical University of Graz in Austria, expanding its clinical validation and commercialization footprint in Europe. These moves seemed to form a carefully orchestrated strategy: strengthen governance, secure expertise, and prepare for launch. Then, on a late October evening after market close, came another headline that startled investors. Profusa declared that it had completed manufacturing infrastructure capable of meeting twice the projected 2026 demand. It would begin shipping inventory to distributors in Q1 2026 and start recognizing revenue in Q2 2026. Even more striking, the company unveiled a long-term revenue forecast targeting between $200 million and $250 million USD in annual sales by 2030. To most observers, this timeline defied industry gravity. In medical technology, commercial adoption curves are typically gradual. The first year sees pilot hospital sales, the next several years bring incremental growth, and profitability may take a decade. Profusa's forecast, leaping from $0 to $200 million in just 4 years, was extraordinary. The optimism suggested one of two things. Either Profusa had already lined up substantial distribution contracts, or it was projecting an outcome far ahead of operational reality. The truth remains unclear. That uncertainty became the second major mystery. At the same time, Profusa quietly revealed progress on a second product, the Lume glucose sensor, an implantable continuous glucose monitor designed to rival existing skin-mounted systems. In contrast to devices like Dexcom or Abbott's Freestyle Libre, which must be replaced every 1 to 2 weeks, the Lume glucose sensor would remain implanted for months, perhaps longer. Its appeal was obvious: fewer replacements, greater accuracy, deeper integration. But here too, investors saw a paradox. Most medtech firms sequentially commercialize, stabilize one product before expanding to the next. Profusa was attempting both simultaneously. This dual-track strategy could be interpreted as confidence or as overextension. If the oxygen sensor stumbled, the glucose sensor's future could collapse with it. All roads in this story lead to a single defining question: can Profusa prove both the medical necessity and the economic viability of its technology? The answer determines everything. If the Lume Oxygen platform can show that its continuous oxygen monitoring improves patient outcomes, reduces complications, shortens hospital stays, and saves money, then Profusa's 2030 revenue forecast might not be fantasy at all. But if adoption lags and evidence remains thin, even the best technology could remain a promise unfulfilled. The market will decide based on data, not dreams. The year 2026 will be Profusa's trial by fire. Its first distributor shipments, first hospital integration, and first insurance claim approval will mark the transition from theory to execution. These firsts will tell investors whether this company is a visionary disruptor or just another biotech that flew too close to the sun. 4 years of silence. An unusually aggressive growth plan, a 2-product strategy before even one is proven. Whether these choices reveal foresight or overreach will soon be known. The Value Stir channel welcomes your insight. If there's a listed, unlisted, or soon-to-list stock or crypto project that intrigues you, leave a comment below. Your idea could shape our next investigation. And to all of you who watch, subscribe, like, comment, and share our videos, thank you sincerely. Your engagement is the energy that drives us to deliver deeper, sharper, and more revealing stories. This was Value Stir.